Have you ever gotten one of those suspicious messages and thought to yourself, yeah, right, I'm way too smart to fall for this? Well, today we're going to talk about a story that's a huge wake-up call. It's about how that exact line of thinking led one woman to lose almost her entire life savings. Okay, let's get right into it. So, meet Miss Lee. This quote right here, this was her mindset when she got a message from a scammer out of the blue. She was confident, she was tech-savvy, and she figured, you know what, I can play their game and beat them at it. It's a feeling a lot of us can probably relate to, but as you're about to see, it's an incredibly dangerous assumption to make. So what was the price of that confidence? $78,000, just gone from her bank account. And we're not talking about a small loss here. For her, this was life-changing. It was nearly 90% of every dollar she had saved. And here's the part that's just mind-blowing. This didn't happen over months or years of being slowly tricked. It all went down in less than a week. So the big question we're tackling today is, how on earth could so much be lost so unbelievably fast? To really understand how this happened, we've got to rewind a bit. We need to get inside Ms. Lee's head and see where she was at before the scam really kicked into high gear. So who is Miss Lee? She's 48, she works in sales, she's a wife, a mom to an 18-year-old. She could be your neighbor, your colleague. She's definitely not someone you would call naive. But, she was feeling like her life was a little stuck in a rut, a bit mundane. And that's when a random job offer popped up on her WhatsApp. And here's the thing, she knew it was a scam right from the get-go. But instead of just blocking the number and moving on, she saw it as a bit of a game. A way to spice things up, maybe mess with the scammers and waste their time. She was absolutely convinced she was the one in control. But what Miss Lee didn't get, and what most of us don't, is that she wasn't playing against some lone amateur in a basement. She had walked right into a highly sophisticated operation that knows more about human psychology than we give them credit for. And this is where it gets really unsettling. Listen to what the experts say. Dr. Geraldine Tan, a principled psychologist, calls scammers the best psychologists. Let that sink in for a second. They don't just come out and ask for your money. No, they play the long game. They spend real time building trust, tapping into our very human need for connection. So let's look at how they did it with Miss Lee. For months, this scammer, who called himself Charles, launched a full-on charm offensive. He was sending her cheerful, encouraging messages every single day. He started calling her Jie, which is Mandarin for big sister, creating this fake, cozy family bond. All this work was just to make his job offer seem like a friendly tip, a way for her to earn some easy side cash. This was a systematic, calculated grooming process. And this is where it gets almost scientifically sneaky. When Charles told Miss Lee he was also married with a newborn, that wasn't just idle chit-chat. He was using a real psychological technique, trying to activate what are called mirror neurons. By creating this feeling of, hey, we're the same, he was making her feel safe, making her feel understood. He was slowly taking down her defenses, brick by brick. Okay, so after months of laying that psychological groundwork, the trap was finally ready to be sprung. Now we get to those 4 days where everything just went into overdrive. Day 1, February 15th. It all starts small. She invests about $600 and wow, she gets $700 back. It works. The bait is taken. She's excited, she sees a quick profit, so over the next 2 days, she invests more and more. Then on the 18th, the big ask comes, a deposit of over $11,000. But this time, the platform she's using flags it and sends her a warning. Okay, let's just pause right here. An official platform sends a direct warning message. This is it, right? The alarm bell should be screaming. Logically, this is where the story should stop cold. But it didn't stop. All those months of grooming, of daily messages and building a fake friendship, it all paid off for the scammer. The trust she had in Charles, this person who wasn't even real, was stronger than an official warning from a financial company. He just talked her right around it, convincing her to ignore the warning and send the money directly. The psychological hook was in way too deep. And with that one transfer, the trap snapped shut. The game that she thought she was playing was over, and the crushing reality of what just happened started to set in. After she'd already sent $78,000, they told her she couldn't get any of it back until she finished the job. And to finish, she had to invest a final, impossible amount
$120,000. It was money she just did not have. And in that moment, the entire illusion just shattered. You can just feel the desperation in her own words. The so-called friend she'd been talking to for months was just gone, replaced by a cold, heartless voice telling her no. They even had the nerve to suggest she go borrow money from banks or moneylenders to pay them more. The sheer cruelty of it is just staggering. Look, it's so important to remember this isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. That $78,000 was meant for her family's home loan. That burden now falls completely on her husband. And beyond the money, she was left with this overwhelming guilt and shame that took a massive emotional toll.
Now, Miss Lee was incredibly brave to share her story precisely so this wouldn't happen to anyone else. So let's turn this painful lesson into a clear checklist that we can all use to stay safe.
Okay, first off, if a job offer lands in your inbox and it seems way too good to be true, it is. Easy money for little work is the classic bait. Second, and this is a big one, no real company will ever ask you to pay them your own money in order to get paid. Third, remember the long game. Be super wary of new online friends who eventually start talking about money. Fourth, trust your bank's fraud alerts. They are there for a reason. And finally, and this is probably the single most important piece of advice, just don't engage. Don't even try to mess with them.
And this is the ultimate lesson, straight from the person who lived it. Her initial confidence, that feeling that she could beat them, was exactly what they used against her. These aren't just random people. They are organized, professional groups that do this for a living. Believing you can outsmart them is like walking right into their trap.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Ms. Lee's story proves this isn't about being dumb or gullible. It's about being human. Scammers are experts at exploiting our basic psychology, our trust, our emotions. And knowing you're vulnerable isn't a weakness. It's actually your greatest strength. Something to think about.